Hello and welcome to Passport Joy Travel Talk. This is Matt Javit, half of the traveling couple, Matt and Nikki Javit of PassportJoy.com. The couple that has traveled to over 50 countries at this point, and at one point we traveled for 27 straight months to 35 countries. The goal of this podcast is to share information and insight to help you travel better. And that's what I'm going to try to do today. The question we get most often since we've been back is obviously, what did you like? Where did you like? Where would you go back? And I'm going to answer that today, kind of give you a top 2020 idea list. If you're looking for travel plans going into the new year, where I would go first if it was a clean slate and I was starting over. I'm going to lay that out for you, and the places that we love the most during our journey and why. It's about a 4 to 7 list or so, I guess, as we dive into it. I'm kind of prepared, but a lot of this stuff is just going to be from my heart as well, because I've answered this question so many times. As we look forward to the new year, obviously we're wrapping up 2019, a tremendous year that it was. I'm big on goal setting. I think you guys know that. I'm big on goal setting, establishing new goals, and so that it's exciting to wrap up this year and then look into next year. But a big part of my journey as I've gotten older is books. And so this year I've actually reached out to a bunch of people, high performers in my network, and said, which books have you read in this year that has had such a great impact on you in your life? And I've compiled that list. So if you want to check that out, go to passportjoy.com/books. Again, passportjoy.com/books. That's where we typically have all of our top books that we've read. And I'm also going to put a link there to this article, or to this list that I've compiled from the people around me. And there's a lot of books on there that I have not read that I'm looking forward to reading in 2020. And so I want to share that with you as well. And it's if you're a big book reader and like to ingest that knowledge like I do, hopefully this will get you started to make sure that you have a great 2020. And a lot of these people that I've reached out to kill it in their professions. And they also, I'm big on the balance of life, and it's more than what you do as a job, but these people also do a fantastic job and just living it and being great humans in the world. So these books will hopefully help you in some capacity. If you're looking for travel books, the ones that always stand out for me, and I guess that the books that that have impacted me the most are As a Man Thinketh. I think I've talked about this several times, but the book As a Man Thinketh, that was the only physical book that I carried. It's by James Allen. It's actually written in 1902, but all of his philosophies and ideas still translate into this world today, and it's only about 45 pages. Highly recommend that book. You'll see it at the top of my list on that books page. But then when you're looking at travel books, there's several. Vagabonding is huge, The Alchemist, and books like that. So check out that list again, passportjoy.com/books. I'll have all the information for you, and it'll be easy to click through. And we also have our Amazon store set up as well, so you can just go there. It's easy to look at it, so you get the whole visual aspect of it, and you just click through and find a book or two that maybe you can take on your journey, because I'm big on that, is getting physical books when I travel, for the airplane rides or sitting in the hostels or hotels, wherever you're doing, or on the beach. It's a great way to pass the time and pick up knowledge as you might have some dead time from here, from now and again. So check that out. Quick plug real quick. World Barbershop Adventures continues as its season 2 is currently on air. We got 12 episodes on Amazon Prime. Please be sure to check that out. And also the police book, Police, Brotherhood and Uniform. Go to policearoundtheworld.com. That's where you can pick up that book of me taking photos of police officers around the world as we journeyed. It just happened, and that was pretty cool. And just to back up again, on World Barbershop Adventures, that's me and Barber Chairs. We just did an episode in Phoenix, Arizona. That'll probably air on Amazon Prime in season 3. And I'm also going to a prison in early January, sit down with an inmate, get my hair cut. So that should be super cool as well. All right, let's jam into this episode, this top list for 2020 for your potential travel. We get this question all the time. what was your best spot? What'd you love? Where would you go back? And my answer comes three or fourfold, and that's what I'll do here is initially the thing that stinks out to me in my mind when it comes to natural beauty, because sometimes that's what I think what people are thinking, like when you travel, where's a place that was so different than what you're used to in America or wherever you might live. And the place that really stuck out for me was New Zealand. And I don't know if it's because it was our last place we visited, but the fact that the natural beauty there and the diversity of the landscape and just the sheer beauty of it all was so mind-boggling. And all the times that, because Nikki was driving during that trip, I didn't have a license, so Nikki drove the rental. And the amount of times I just asked her to pull over so I could look at the landscapes and the beauty and the sheep and the wildlife that's everywhere there. New Zealand really stuck out, and the fact that there's only 6 million people in the country, this huge, gorgeous country that you can travel on both the North Island and the South Island. We had the chance to spend 3 weeks there, and really spread our time. Got to meet amazing people. It's an English-speaking country, so that you get through that hurdle. Great food options. So all those things combined, it is a far place to go. So you definitely want to spend 2 to 3 to 4 weeks if you can, if you're making that type of journey there. But once you're there, it is easy to navigate. There's not a lot of people on the roads, depending upon what time of the year you go, because I know that there's a large influx of Chinese travelers and Asian travelers going to New Zealand now. So sometimes the roads do get a little bit more crowded, but overall, just our experience when we went was absolutely unforgettable. And I think a lot of that has to do with the timing of it, which was at the very end of our journey, which I'm glad we did that. But also just the lakes and the landscape and the hikes you could take and the freshness of the air, everything about it really was fantastic. So New Zealand, put it on a list. Queenstown obviously always sticks out to people, and the opportunities there. There's so many different places you can go around Queenstown and really have areas to yourself. We went to several lakes and several long hikes where it was just Nikki and I just walk around these gorgeous lakes and things like that. So New Zealand, natural beauty, gorgeous. Another thing that sticks out for me when people ask me that question is Vietnam. We spent a ton of time in Vietnam, almost 3 months, around 3 months total on several different trips there. And we just fell in love with it. In particular, Da Nang. We actually went to Saigon, Hanoi, Hoi An, Nha Trang. We went up to Ninh Binh. We went up to Ha Long Bay. Queen Nan. So we hit the country. Oh, and Phu Quoc. Phu Quoc is a little island off of the coast of Vietnam, between Vietnam and Cambodia. Phu Quoc is one of those places that still today I have on my phone to check the weather, because from about now until May, December to about May, it only rains about 2 times a month there, and it's 80 to 90 degrees and sunny every day. So it's one of those places, as you're in the dead of winter and you just want to put a smile on your face, I pull up my app, look at the weather, and think about Phu Quoc and our time there, because it was amazing. But yeah, so we went all over Vietnam and really loved it, and for many reasons. I guess one of the really cool things is the dollar goes a long way. That's not the case in New Zealand, I just mentioned, but in Vietnam, the dollar does go a long way in Vietnam. Da Nang in particular, we fell in love because it's a big city, about 1.5 million people, but there's a beach life as well. So you get the mix of kind of that touristy beach life with the option to have a true, authentic experience, going to Vietnamese markets, eating their amazing food, and really mixing up the scooter lifestyle, going around in all these different scooters. And there's a lot of fun scooter runs out of Da Nang as well. There's Monkey Mountain, there's Lady Buddha, there's a lot of temples, local temples. We even went down to Hoi An, which is about a 45-minute scooter ride south of Da Nang. That's a gorgeous, historic little town there with a little river canal that runs through it. And gorgeous little shops and restaurants, super cheap massages, everything that I guess from a a hospitality standpoint is on a high level because they're trying so hard to be great hosts of their country. A lot of people do speak broken English, so that's a lot of fun to be able to speak English, and then also work through the menu in an authentic way because they don't speak great English, so you have to learn their words as well to order off the menu. I like that part of the experience, and the people are very warm and welcoming. You will meet Westerners as you travel in Vietnam, and in particular places that I've mentioned like Da Nang, Hanoi, Saigon, Nha Trang, place like that. So it's a great mix of things to do, but then you also know that you're traveling and you're in a foreign country, and they're very warm and welcoming and kind people. So that's kind of why Vietnam stuck out to us and why we love it so much. And then you can also buy goods there too. If you're doing a 2 to 3 week trip, you go over there and you want to buy some goods. They have great tailors. They don't actually make the products in Vietnam particularly. Sometimes they do, like the North Face and some of the great bags you can get there. But if you're looking for like suits and things like that, you can get them in Vietnam as well and then have them shipped back. So a lot of cool options, a lot of great reasons to visit there, and a lot of things that you don't necessarily have to worry about. Some people are worried about like medical stuff. I actually had 2 teeth replaced. I know that sounds crazy, but I had 2 teeth replaced in Vietnam because of the level of dentistry that they have there as well. And I met travelers that were going to Vietnam to have their full set of 8 caps done there as well. So it's one of those countries that you might think like, oh my gosh, Vietnam is, you might think it's like third world or something, but it's definitely not. It's a great place to travel, and we had a blast there. Another place to consider on my list that we always talk about is Bali, Indonesia. For a lot of the reasons I just described in Vietnam, you're in a different place because the scooter lifestyle, the chaos of it all. Bali is on hyperload in some parts of some of their peak seasons, so it can get pretty chaotic. But if you get the timing right, you get the amazing sun, the awesome beaches, great nightlife, amazing food options. They're very health conscious, so a lot of vegan, vegetarian, and just great food altogether. Cheap spa and massage and everything health related options. And then also with Bali, you have the chance to not only get like the great beach life, but if you go inland, they've got mountains and great like yoga options and kind of that whole health lifestyle, but also the beauty of the greenery of the inner part of the island as well. And we just fell in love with it. We had a chance to spend 28 days there. So we got a rhythm. We had a really good rhythm of going to and working out in a local gym, finding great places to eat, meeting locals, and just it had a good pace there, going to the beach. Great Wi-Fi, and it's cheap too. It's super cheap in Bali. And then you can also take a ton of day trips to go see different islands around the main island, and just a lot of great stuff to do it. So we fell in love with Bali, especially if it's one of those places where you're trying to just get away to relax and enjoy it. We did a super cheap Airbnb, but you can do great high-end luxury hotels, and they just know how to cater to the Western traveler, and they're fantastic at it. Another place, if you're looking to not do something exotic like Southeast Asia or New Zealand, for me a great European destination, and we're actually going back again this year, is Portugal. We love Lisbon, Portugal. We fell in love with Lisbon for a ton of reasons, but particularly in June, they've got a ton of festivals, a lot of great nightlife, cute little. It's kind of like a San Francisco where it's hilly and it's not huge. It's about 500,000 people, so it's a kind of a smaller European city, but it has that romantic cobblestone roads, the close, tight, narrow streets. People sell goods outside of their windows, in their homes, things like that. So it's you get this very authentic European, what you would think would be a European vibe to it, but it's really romantic, and it's on water, and it's very walkable. You can go on very long walks if that's your thing, and there's a bunch of little unique, I guess, towns within the city, and so each has its own flavor as you walk through the city. But then there's also some like high-end shopping opportunities in the center part of it as well. So we really fell in love with Lisbon, and yeah, they speak Portuguese, but it's not necessarily there's enough English speaking opportunities there that you don't feel out of place. And the food really doesn't, not for us at least, the food doesn't stand out. But there's a lot of options to take advantage of in Lisbon and other cities too. There's a tons. They're like, we've never been to Porto, and there's other cities along the coastline. Tons of Portugal options to travel, but Lisbon is one that was a highlight for us, and something you should put on your 2020 list if you're looking to go to Europe. Another European option that we like, and this is a total different vibe than like a Portugal or a Spain or Italy or Greece or Croatia, where you get that kind of that relaxed vacation-y feel, is Poland. Both Krakow and Warsaw is what we visited. I fell in love with Krakow because it's definitely a historic vibe. There's a ton of history there with the war. It kept its architecture, so it's got this amazing, gorgeous, old school architecture. There's the old Jewish quarter where we stayed, and that is tons of history. But they've got all these different shopping opportunities and small shops and great food options, amazing food options. Nikki found some of her most favorite vegan options in Poland, in particular, both Warsaw and Krakow. They have tons of vegan options, and just the tour guides, the free walking tours they do there. The tours were unbelievably educated, and the folks that did those were amazing at discussing and talking through the very dramatic history of Poland, and the fact that it's such a new country in sense of how long it's been since they've got through some of their hardships there. It's very new country, and that there's a lot of business boom as well. So you can feel that vibe as you go around the country. There's a lot of energy there, and it's a lot of fun. And Warsaw in particular, and there's a lot of flights now. There's a lot of good flights from, I know in particular, I think Chicago goes from Chicago to Krakow, a direct flight to that city. So I would definitely treat that as an option as well. And then I guess one of the, and then obviously, I'm sorry to go back to Poland, but then there's the opportunity to go to Auschwitz and understand that history, because it's a sad history, but it's something that I think everybody should get a chance to see and understand and know better, because it is a part of our world's history, and it's something you need to know better, because I think it'll make you appreciate the things that we have now a bit more clear. Another place, if you're into something a bit more exotic, or you do have a bit of a budget, is Japan. We had the opportunity to go to Japan for 6 weeks. It was one of those places that really stood out to me, because I didn't go in with any expectations, but I left just with a high regard for the people there, the kindness and the peaceful attitude, and how they just treat you on a regular basis, and how they go about treating each other really stood out. And then all the history and the different culture, the food and the sights and the views and the temples, everything that comes with Japan was amazing. Their infrastructure is fantastic. Be able to get the train around the country, and we had a chance to take in Tokyo, the big lights of Tokyo. Went to sumo wrestling matches, Osaka, and some of the history there, and Nara. And then we went out to see some of the temples. And then we went way into the countryside in an oyster farm and stayed with a family there in Kyotango. But there's so many different areas there that you can experience and just really get involved into the different cultures there. They do not speak English a bunch, so that was difficult to get over. But the kindness and how they go about that is not intimidating. It just, with some of the traffic signs and things like that, it can kind of make the trip a little bit more difficult, but that is what traveling is all about, and getting out of your comfort zone and doing new things, and maybe trying to figure out a way to work through some of those hard problems when you travel. And I know that they're getting some big events soon with the Olympics. This next 2020, the Olympics will be there, and so there's some opportunities there. So if you're looking at your list and you're thinking about going to Japan for the Olympics, highly recommend that, because that it's going to be a fantastic event. I'm sure that they'll treat the world so well during that. And then India. I love going to India. We spent about 2.5 months total on our journey in India. I just love how different it is. It's absolutely different than everywhere else that I described, because it is a country of about 1.3, 1.4 billion people. So there's a lot of people there. And it's about the half the size of America. So when you go there, you have to go with your mind of the history and kind of just the culture's different, and just be ready, because the chaos of the streets, but it works. The amount of different transportation they have, the fact that there are animals on the road and there's animals all around you, and how they do different things. But that to me is what travel is, and that exposure and just that knowledge of what these different cultures give us around the world, and how you can come back with not only appreciation of those people and their kindness and how they handle other people, because we tend to see bad news out of India. Some of the stuff highlights, right? It hits our media, and it can be bad things, but you got to understand they've got 4 times as many people as us over there, and they've got half as much area. So some of these cities, because when we think about like New York City, and we think like that's a huge city, right? 9 million people or 10 million people, they probably have 20 cities that size, probably at least. Their big cities are 20 to 25 million people. So when we hear some of this negativity coming out of the country, I'm always surprised that we don't hear more, and there's not more chaos. When you got that many people living that close together, I'm surprised that more bad things don't happen. They are a peaceful, amazing people, and every time that we've gone there, their hospitality and their warmness and how they treat us is unbelievable. And we had a chance to do 3 weddings there and just get really deep in the cultures, going to the countryside and live with the families there, and we absolutely love it. And for me, I cannot wait for my next trip back to India, just to be able to be around the people and experience the culture again, and it's a lot of fun. And then I guess to round out the list, I didn't mention any South America. Nikki, as you know, San Pedro de Atacama in northern Chile is a highlight for us. The gorgeous of it, it's the gorgeous landscape and the mountains and the lakes and everything that comes with this. That's a place we hope to go back to at some point. There's so many places around the world that we want to travel to, but that might be one that we end up going back to. And if you can combine that with the trip to Machu Picchu, and then maybe go down to northern Chile and take in San Pedro de Atacama, that would be a wonderful 2 weeks to 17-day trip. If you wanted to build it in that way, I think that'd be an amazing trip that you could do later in 2020 at some point if you're making up that list. And that is it. So just real quick again: Vietnam, New Zealand, Bali, Lisbon, Portugal, Poland, India, Japan, San Pedro de Atacama, all those cities. It's endless, right? But as people ask us, and it's the most common question that we get typically is, what did we love and where would we go again? In 2020, if any of those places stand out, those would make my list. And it's so difficult, right? Because you think about Greece and Croatia and all these amazing places around the world, but those tend to be the highlights. All right. So that's it. Again, if you're into reading books, you're into self-improvement, you're into making yourself better, a great way to start that in 2020 is to check out the passportjoy.com/books link. I'm going to link up not just my recommendations, but I reached out to a group of high performers in my network. They told me what they read this year that has moved them. I'm adding all that into that list. So you can, because there's a bunch of stuff on there that I still have, that I've got to read now in 2020 from their recommendations. So look at that again, passportjoy.com/books. And then while you're on Passport Joy, feel free to sign up for the newsletter. That's an easy way to get things like that in your inbox. Go to Amazon Prime, type in World Barbershop Adventures. You'll see the series pop up. Give me a 5-star review there. Review that series for me if you've watched an episode and you dig it. And you can also check out those episodes. And then if you want to purchase a book, policearoundtheworld.com. This is a great way to either purchase a book for you, or maybe you want to purchase a book for a random police officer around the country. That's a great gifting option that you can send the book to a police officer. Tell them thank you. I write a note in there for you. We send it to a police officer. They get that book, and then they know that they're appreciated in our communities as they serve us. All right. Thanks as always. I hope you've got big plans for 2020. Maybe you're listening to this as you're going to somewhere freaking awesome during the holiday break. If you are, have a blast. And feel free to always send me a note, matt@passportjoy.com. I love to hear about your experiences. I love helping people with their travel plans. If you got maybe this is the year you're leaving your job, you're taking a career gap, you're taking 6 to 9 months to go travel, and you want to tell me about it, and I can give you some advice. I just shared some great advice with a young lady that's doing just that in Peru for 6 months. If you got something like that, feel free, always drop me a note, matt@passportjoy.com, and I'll give you any advice that I can. Until next time, safe travels.